What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red and Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mike Andrews of Nothing But Niners. Our guy, Matt Llewellyn, will be joining us shortly, but for now, you have the two of us. We are so glad to be back. It's been a minute. We will be discussing the 49ers defensive coordinator search, talking about the first weekend of the NFL playoffs, and you know what? The season's over, so we're just going to talk ball and talk whatever comes to mind and chill and have a good night. Mike, how you doing tonight?
All is well. I have been battling with technology lately. There is something on my laptop now called efficiency mode, and it basically sends whatever programs it decides to in like this energy saver mode, right? And so, like, I want tasks to run quickly and efficiently, but I prefer quickly instead of efficient. And so it'll slow down my camera and slow down my microphone and slow down the upload and all that. And I'm like, dude, like, why? I feel like everything is buffering and all. It's like, why are you doing this to me? So I've been fighting with technology. It's kicking the Bluetooth off to save the energy and the power and all that. But I think we're okay. I'm hoping that what I'm seeing on my screen is only on my end and not on your end, because it seems like you're like kind of jumping in and out and a little blotchy.
It's funny you say that because the second I hit go live, I got the weak internet signal from StreamYard here. It didn't do the entire time before, but the second I go live, and I just did an internet speed test, and it says I've got fast internet. So I don't know what it's something with StreamYard. If I'm glitchy, guys, let me know. I can always
you might have the same issue. Are you on an Apple product or are you on a Windows?
No, I am on a Windows.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can do it or not on yours, but I hit Alt-Control-Delete, and then when you go to the Task Manager and go to your browser, if you see that little green leaf, that means you have efficiency mode, and it's slowing everything down for some reason. And this just started happening to me the last week or so, and I don't know why it's doing that. It's driving me crazy.
Interesting.
So I just went through and turned it all off. So I'm not telling you to do it now. Maybe when Matt gets on and there's a couple of us talking, maybe you can do it, but it's driving me absolutely nuts. But other than that, I've been sick. I'm feeling a little bit better. Happy birthday to Wayne. And I've been sitting back and enjoying the NFL playoffs. Are you looking at the seal behind you? Sammy the seal over there?
Oh, it's actually a dachshund balloon.
Oh, okay. It looked like a seal. I couldn't tell.
I kept seeing a flash, and I'm like, is my light cutting out? But I think it's just the colors changing.
Yeah, the colors changing.
I kept seeing a flash behind me.
Gotcha. So yeah, I'm doing well though, man. I'm getting better.
Huh?
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. We're gonna have some fun. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We see you guys in here, man. Where my horns at for the people out there? Let's go, baby.
Right. That's right. Well, like I said, guys, we're going to start off talking about the 49ers and defensive coordinator search. We all know after the season, there was that 4 or 5 day period. Are they going to bring Nick Sorensen back? Aren't they going to bring Nick Sorensen back? Well, finally came out Monday night, Tuesday night of last week that they were not bringing him back. So there is an active search going on, and I'm going to bring up this article from Nick Wagner of ESPN. Let me make sure you guys can actually read it.
Yep.
Right. Sorry, there's so many of these backgrounds I got to change. All right, here we go. So Nick Wagner writes, in the days after losing a low-scoring slugfest against Los Angeles Rams, San Francisco 49ers defensive end Nick Bosa could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's a brutal start, by the way. Through the first 14 games under coordinator Nick Sorensen, the defense had been inconsistent, but that December 12th matchup in which they had limited the Rams to 12 points and 4.6 yards per play left Bosa encouraged about the defense's trajectory. Bosa was so heartened by the defensive progress that he suggested Sorensen and much of the defense would and should remain the same in 2025, even going so far to say we have the right people in terms of coaches and players. But after the 49ers defense had been gouged for 38.7 points and 404.3 yards per game, it came up with 0 takeaways over the final 3 weeks. Bosa struck a different tone when asked about Sorensen. I think he's a good coach, Bosa said. Indeed, that decision fell to Coach Shanahan, who provided multiple votes of confidence for Sorensen throughout the season, but the defensive regression over the final 3 weeks left Shanahan ready to move on with Sorensen. And they have a start here, obviously, Steve Wilkes last year and Nick Sorensen this year. Um, top half of the league, top 10 in most, obviously. Third down, the boys struggled for that. Surprisingly, they actually finished the game. They gave up more, but same rank, 24th ranked third down for third percent defense. But to be fair, and we've said this, Steve Wilkes had a lot of players that are healthy. So, but all right, let me.
So let me take a look at this really quick.
Yeah.
Leave that chart right there. Okay, there you go. All right, so you got really muffled out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden,
Is it better?
Back, so, yeah, right. I don't know what just changed, but you're back. Okay, so that's hilarious. I did not know that Bosa retracted that statement. 'Cause I remember a couple of weeks before the season ended, he's like, "Oh, I feel like we should be back with the same coaches and players," and I was like, "Yo, dude, like, don't let one game fool you." Because it's been one out of, I thought it was 15 games. I said 14 or something like that, right? So, like, dude, 1 out of 14 is not indicative of what we should do and continue to do here. I didn't know that he walked it back, so that quote was new to me. And I'm glad that he changed his tune. Yeah, that's not up to me. Thank you. It was never up to you in the first place, but I'm glad that you actually walked it back. And then here we have this nice chart that shows the comparison between. I hate that they put names next to it. Just show the last year versus this year, and as long as everyone remembers how displeased we were last year, this should put a lot of things into perspective for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, by the way, let me know if the chat, if my audio still sounds bad. I'm clearly having some technical difficulties here. Mike, do I sound better to you at least?
Oh no, you're great now. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Right. Matt, you all good to come in, or you getting your? All right. We have Matt Llewellyn joining us.
Hello.
How you doing, Matt?
Boom.
I'm good. Sorry for being late. Had to read to my daughter and put her to bed.
No, you're good.
Those are great reasons to be late,
this.
Man.
Yeah. This Nick Wagner article about the 49ers defensive coordinator search. Now that the team is searching for its fourth defensive coordinator in as many years, of the previous three, only DeMeco Ryans held the job for more than one season before he became the head coach of the Houston Texans. Steve Wilkes was one and done after the 49ers made the Super Bowl last year. Unlike Wilkes, Shanahan would like to retain Sorensen in a different role. According to Shanahan, the choice to move on was as much about the options available as it was the defense's 2024 performance. Unlike the past 2 years when the Niners had advanced deep into the playoffs and many of the top potential coordinators had already been hired elsewhere, they're on equal footing with the opportunity to hire just about any of the available options this time around. It was a real tough decision, Shanahan said. I love Nick as a person, and I love him as a coach, but just where we're at, really as a team, where I think we need to go, there are a lot of big decisions ahead for us, and as hard as it is for me to come to this conclusion, I feel there are some options out there that can end up being a better option in the situation that we're in for our team. That sounds like a whole lot of coach speak. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And what are your guys' thoughts on Nick Sorensen, Shanahan wanting to relieve him of his duties, yet keep him on the staff? It's a little strange to me.
If there's anything that gives me pause about all of this, it's like Shanahan's just unwavering support of his buddies. Like, why? If he's not good enough, then let him go. But I want to keep him here somehow. If I'm the next defensive coordinator, that's going to make me not so much look over my shoulder, but it's like, am I really here so I can implement things, or do you want me to just be a pawn because you want to be surrounded by a bunch of yes men and your buddies? What has Sorensen done to warrant such loyalty? I don't get it. I need someone out there to tell me the answer to this because it's been bugging me. The fact that he could potentially maybe get on the special teams coordinator, why? Who is this guy, and where does this loyalty come from for him? I don't understand it. And so you want me to bring in another defensive coordinator? You want to keep Sorensen here, who's the guy I'm supposed to be replacing? Do you know how odd that is to replace a guy and know that he's still there? That's strange as hell. I mean, just you guys put yourselves in that position in your own personal professions, right? Like, isn't that odd? I don't know.
Very odd. Maybe it's very odd. Matt, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
It is odd. My only thoughts are maybe that two things really. One, I don't think Kyle expects him to take a demotion and stay with the team. And two, it's some sort of olive branch because Kyle knows that in retrospect, he probably butted heads with Wilkes a little bit too much. You know, Wilkes was a former head coach. He carries a certain cachet that Shanahan can't just automatically dismiss. And I find that when you go towards one direction, sometimes you'll go too far to the other direction to correct. And I think that he promoted Nick Sorensen far before he was ready. So this is an olive branch saying like, hey, I might have put too much on your plate and I don't want you out of here. I totally get it if you don't want to take the demotion, but there might be opportunity. And that's just me spitballing because it's kind of like how I would do it. But it's also the same reason why I don't think that you're going to get somebody that you expect. I think Jeff Ulbrich is kind of the leader in the clubhouse for me because while he was an interim head coach, he wasn't really a head coach. Not in the same way that Saleh is. And with Saleh, he's going to be here. If they even offered him the job, he would be here for 1 year. He'd be done again, right? You go to somebody like a Dennis Allen. I've seen people throwing around. Dennis Allen was a head coach for years with I think with two different teams. By the way, he was a head coach of the Raiders back in the day. He was a head coach of the Saints. Again, he falls into the Wilkes camp where he's going to have too much cachet, too much experience for Kyle to just immediately override. So with all that being considered, it's like Jeff Ulbrich or Lou from the Cincinnati Bengals, which is kind of how I'm feeling, because you want a guy that might stay around for more than 1 year, and you also don't want him to have so much experience that you can't, ultimately call the shot, or at least feel like you can't call the shot. I know that when Kyle had to override Steve Wilkes last year, it was really awkward. From hey, you need to get down on the field to call these plays to I didn't like what he called in the Super Bowl, so I'm overriding that. You don't want that situation because that's two people who have a certain level of accomplishment in the league. Now you're like, all right, well, I mean, I'm just going to say that my experience trumps yours. Like, I'm the head guy. And then it becomes almost like a pissing contest rather than a collaboration. So I think he wants somebody with the experience to be a defensive coordinator, which Nick Sorensen clearly did not have. I think that this cycle will be more of a regulation back to the center.
Before I share my thoughts, we got a $50 super chat from our guy, Gary Fox 198. Thank you very much. In my opinion, the 49ers defensive coordinator job is the most attractive open position in the league. Fourth place schedule, plus all pros on defense, plus a high draft pick. Defensive coordinators should be tripping over each other to get an interview. I am concerned we haven't interviewed anyone else.
Well, that's not true. We've
concerned.
interviewed a lot of people.
Not for DC, though.
No, that's not true.
No, they interviewed Deshae Townsend. They interviewed.
I thought that was for like special teams. Was it
no, Deshae Townsend was for defensive coordinator.
Got it.
There's Ulbrich, okay. Saleh.
Yeah, Ulbrich, Saleh.
They said
Townsend.
that Brandon Staley is an option. Townsend. Yep. There's Dennis Allen that they're saying they plan on bringing in also. I don't know if he's come in already or not yet, right?
But that's like 4 or 5 right there.
But those are really good prospects too. Those aren't just like those guys are potential head coaches, and then if they can't get head coaching jobs, they could be hired at someone else's staff as a defensive coordinator. Like those are really good names.
And unlike last season where you fire Wilkes after the Super Bowl, guess what? It's already mid-February. You're coming up on March. Right now it's January, guys.
Yeah.
It's a lot more time to go after your guy. And I know people want the immediacy of like, they better get somebody before whatever. But I think Gray Fox has a point where it's like, this is an attractive opening because you got a team that theoretically with just a few tweaks here and there could be on the path to, if let's just say everything stayed the same, but the 49ers were fully healthy from beginning of the season to the end of the season. And we picked who we picked at 11 and whoever in the draft and we signed. I mean, this team's right back in the playoffs with a healthy roster. I mean, I don't know that there's a ton of question about that, but you add a defensive coordinator, you let him toss in a little bit of his flavor, you change things up. It's a couple tweaks away from being potentially something really, really nice. So
I guess my biggest concern is that, again, it's just the buddy hanging around and over my shoulder. I think that is a weird dichotomy to walk into.
I really do think that it's because I really do think that it's because Kyle feels like he did Nick Sorensen dirty by over promoting him. Do you know what I mean? Because like he's not taking the fall, and he's like clearly it's like the way that they talked about it. It was like, look, we really like Nick as a coach. It was clearly too much for him, and that's kind of like when you like, let's say I'm a guy, let's say I'm in Sorensen's position, and somebody goes, oh, yeah, you want to be the defensive coordinator? Like, if somebody came to me off the street, you want to be defensive coordinator of the 49ers? I'm not going to say no, right? I might be in over my skis, right? At anybody's job. Hey, do you want to do this? Higher pay, more responsibility, more cachet, a path forward, advancement. Most people are not going to say no, especially in the NFL where it's a very fortunately, to be a professional football player or coach or whatever, there has to be a certain level of ego. And so that type of person is not going to have the ultimate self-awareness to be like, yeah, I can't be doing this.
Well, my take on this whole situation, Matt, and I think you hit it on the head. Last year, when they let go of Wilkes, you're already, mid-February, and all of the top talent at defensive coordinator is gone, unless you had somebody in mind that you're going to internally promote, which clearly they didn't. I mean, he tried to get Spags away from Kansas City. He reached out to Bill Belichick, which, Mike, I know you don't think that was like a real offer. But clearly he was putting feelers out, right? Clearly Kyle was like, where can I get a coach? It kind of seems to me a year later, like Kyle went to Sorensen and was like, hey, can you just fucking do this for me? Like, there's nobody else we could do. I promise you, no matter what, you will have a job next year. If you're worried about it going really badly, you're going to get fired. Like, even if you're not our DC next year, we'll still keep you on the roster in some way. Don't worry about it. We'll figure this out. And it's almost like I think both you guys hit it on the head where you're like, he did a favor to Kyle by taking this position. Now Kyle's like, thank you for doing that for me. I asked way too much of you. Sorry to put you in that position. Now let's put you in special teams where we think you can excel. Even though, I don't know if you guys happen to notice or look where the special teams in Jacksonville ranked when Nick Sorensen coached them there. But they were 32nd as well. So maybe it would be the best hire.
I mean, they are interviewing special teams candidates too. So.
Yeah, a ton.
And surprisingly, an offensive coordinating candidate as well, which doesn't necessarily bode well for their trying to sneak Clint Kubiak into the offensive coordinator role, apparently against league rules the way they did it.
Shout out to Gray Fox pointing out that they have been rumored to want to interview Ulbrich and Allen. They haven't officially done it yet, or at least per report. So it's good to put that out there and get that cleared up. And you guys were just talking about and that's another reason I'd be hesitant to come here if I'm a DC worth my weight, right? So you go to the podium and say, hey, Clint, that's the new offensive coordinator. He's going to be the offensive coordinator. It's not a big deal. He's basically been doing it the last 2 seasons. I've had offensive coordinators before, but I still call the plays. So you're talking about giving someone the position. You said it definitively, but you also demean the person like it's still me calling the plays. But later on, you know what? Let me interview a guy for this role that I already said someone else had. Why would I want to come there? And then you got your buddy. These things aren't adding up to me. That says this could be a complete. Where are we at? This could be a complete clusterfuck here. Let's be honest. This could be either completely disastrous or the best offseason we've ever had. This could go either way. It's really going to come down to the hires and what they allow these people to do when they come in here. Because it's, we got to satisfy certain rules before we can promote Kubiak to this role, right? So, sorry, I know I said that, but let me just go through the motions here. Sorensen, you're going to stick around, but we are going to still interview people for the special teams coordinator position, even though I said you might get that. And even though Brandon Staley's still on the staff and he could potentially be the defensive coordinator, I'm still going to bring these other, what are we doing here? Is this just the Friends coaching tree? It's dangerous. That's why I think of all the candidates, I think I want Saleh the least, just because I want to see Kyle get outside of his comfort zone. I want to see Kyle Shanahan get away from the buddy group.
And Saleh's going to be one and done anyway, like I said. But I do think that this is a correction back to the mean. Again, he went with a guy super experienced in Steve Wilkes, obviously too experienced for Kyle's taste, tried to do too much. Then he goes to a guy who he knows that he can override at any time, and clearly it didn't work. So now I think he adjusts back to, no, I need to get a guy who actually knows defense, because clearly Kyle Shanahan coaches from an offensive perspective, and that doesn't always translate well to trying to run a defense. I think that it's hard for these people with egos, like everybody in the NFL does, to give up the reins on certain things. But when you get smacked in the mouth for an entire season on one side, well, really all three sides of the ball, 6-11 team, you go back and you make some adjustments. So hopefully it is a good hire, and we got to keep our fingers crossed and just hope that the coach is actually learning from mistakes and being able to adapt and overcome.
Real quick, my brother Eric just hopped in. Eric, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Gentlemen, everybody.
So
if I keep looking down, I got a Frenchie. He just, he was chill this entire time, and he just decided to pee on a pee pad. I take him out. This is rare now, but he just went for it. So, yeah, my bad.
You're good. All right. So, would you guys be opposed to a rule saying if you hire a coordinator, they have to serve 2 years before leaving for a head coaching position? Because it does bother me thinking we could get Saleh back, but then we could also be right in this position in 12 months. You know what I mean? Do you think coaches would be less likely to take a coordinator position if they knew I have to be tied to this job for 2 years before I could possibly leave for a head coaching gig? What are your thoughts?
I think there's nuances that you're not that don't fit every single one of those hires, right? So sure, with Robert Saleh, it's different, right? He was one, and then he left, became a head coach, is coming back to one. You can't. Sure, there are some new people that have not been a defensive coordinator that are going to become one for the very first time. Would love to be one for 2 years plus, or move on beyond that. But I don't think that rule in and of itself is anything that's going to be should be a standard. Just doesn't make sense across the board, in my personal opinion.
Anyone else? Matt, Mike?
Yeah, I don't think. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, to answer your question directly, no, I wouldn't be opposed to a rule like that, right? But see, with Robert Saleh, I like what Eric was saying. His situation is a little bit different, right? He got fired, and everybody was like, that's Aaron Rodgers doing that, right? No one really thought, they were literally, if they won the game before he got, or right after he got fired, there would have been in first place in the division. It was early on. It was 3-3 or something like that, right? It was early enough for them to still be in playoff contention and all that stuff. They made that move to satisfy whoever in-house, and then the Jets continued to fall apart. I don't think anybody around the league looking for a head coach right now thinks that Robert Saleh was to blame as much as how early they released him, right? That says you were running a complete shit show. I don't think Jerry thinks that. You know what I mean? I don't think the Bears front office thinks that. I think that this was clearly something going on in the New York Jets building, right? So Saleh is the one guy that I think that would be or could be one and done if he's not hired as another head coach this cycle, right? But if you go to someone like Dennis Allen, he's had multiple stints as a head coach. Some guys just aren't meant to be head coaches. I think you get Dennis Allen for at least 2 seasons. I just think that's going to happen. He's made his runs. He's gone to Denver. He's done the Saints. He's done it. He's tried it. So I think it's a little different with him. Saleh may be the only caveat where I would say, hey, we need you for 2 years here. But I'm not opposed to that rule at all.
Matt, did you get to answer already?
Listen. I mean, it's fun to speculate on it. It can't be a rule. 100% can't be a rule simply because Gerard Mayo's of the world and the Tomlins, or not the Tomlins, whoever's been one and done as a head coach, you can't really tie a defensive coordinator to that. So you'd have to at least make the caveat that if the head coach gets fired, you don't have to stay, or you're not going to stay or whatever. And the other thing is, I think that it takes too much of the decision making out of the team's hands, because you want to let bad teams hang themselves with their own rope. And by making a defensive coordinator stay for 2 years, you're taking decisions out of it that is either, oh, this is a really good hire, so they have to stay for 2 years and this guy can't go anywhere, or it's a really bad hire and now you're stuck with him and that could crater your whole whatever. I think that it takes too much autonomy away from the coaches to be good or bad in their decisions.
I think it would be more of a tweaking of the blocking rule, right? Like, so the NFL has a rule where we can block lateral moves. You can't go from one coordinator spot to another coordinator in a different building. We like the organizations have the ability to block that move, right? So it would be like if we hire you here as our defensive coordinator, we can block it one time in the next 2 years. You get what I'm, like? I think maybe it should be something like that. We could block it one time. Maybe, but not like because if Kyle Shanahan gets fired, who's to say I want his stat? I don't want to keep it. So I agree with what you're saying.
But there's also the potential to be promoted as an interim guy or whatever. But the problem
so that's why you make it a block because if you block it, then you can still promote from within.
Yeah, but the problem is you're telling a guy that, hey, like this has nothing to do with you. This has to do with the teams making shitty decisions on their defensive coordinators. So because the teams are making bad decisions, you have to suffer through an inability to advance your career for at least one more season because everybody else is incompetent. So you're punished because everybody else. There's just no way to do that.
It's not going to happen.
Cute dog.
I got no choice. I'm sorry.
So, I think with the 49ers, let me go back to this article here. We mentioned Jeff Ulbrich, we mentioned Robert Saleh, and you guys did talk about Dennis Allen. Let me make sure. All right, screen's fine. Yeah. So, Nick Wagner reports, while Saleh and Ulbrich are considered top candidates, another name worth keeping a close eye on is former New Orleans Saints coach Dennis Allen. Allen has extensive experience working 8 years as defensive coordinator in Denver and New Orleans, and almost 6 years as a head coach with the Saints and the Raiders, and another year as the Saints' senior defensive assistant. Shanahan has long respected Allen, as most recently evident in the fits Allen's defense gave Shanahan's offense in November 2022 victory, in which the 49ers just managed 13 points on 4.7 yards per play against Allen's Saints. New Orleans fired Allen this year with 8 games left, but he has another year in his contract, which means he could take the year off to regroup while still being paid if he wants to. But on the Unbreakable with Jay Glazer podcast, Allen would likely pursue those. Allen has been linked to the Indianapolis Colts defense coordinator vacancy and is considered a possibility to be Ben Johnson's defense coordinator should he take a head coaching job somewhere. That means the Niners would have competition for Allen's services if they want to pursue him. And then it talks about Brandon Staley, yada, yada, yada. Dennis Allen could be the 49ers Spagnuolo, like in the sense, not that he was here before, but he's a head coach. He's kind of failed as a head coach in multiple stints, and he's great at what he does in calling a defense, but maybe he necessarily doesn't have the chops to be a head coach. Just my 2 cents.
I can tell you right now that if Ben Johnson gets hired as the head coach of the Raiders, Dennis Allen's not going back to the Raiders.
Good point.
That was an ugly ass situation. He ain't going there to be a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, good point.
How many teams are looking for a head coach right now? I know it's the Raiders. I know it's the Cowboys. Who else is there?
Bears,
Jets,
Bears, Jets, Jaguars.
Those 4, is that it? Oh, Jags. That's 5. This is a big. So you're talking about at least 5 defensive coordinators being taken right now. Well, the Niners are looking for
6
a defensive coordinator, so that's 6, right? Oh, you got a 6 team looking
Plus
for a head
the
coach
Colts.
also?
Dallas Cowboys.
I said them. Yeah. I had the Cowboys in there for a
So
head coach.
it's Cowboys,
Saints.
Raiders, Jaguars, Bears, Saints, and Jets.
Jesus.
Wow. And then whatever the head coach is, they're going to
year.
need a defensive coordinator. And the Niners are looking like I don't know if there's enough good bodies out there. This could be a Brandon Staley season for the Niners, guys. Like it could be that way.
It could be, but then you got to look at who the team's like. And Robert Saleh is the big one off the board, right? But Jeff Ulbricht's not getting a job, like not a head coaching job anyway.
Wait, what?
I know that Atlanta just interviewed him for defensive coordinator, but he's not going to be a head coaching job. Dennis Allen's not getting a head coaching job.
I agree. I agree with that.
Lou is not getting a head coaching job, obviously.
Amorono. Yeah.
And then you look at, some of the other, there's still Antonio Pierce is out there, who's a defensive guy who you could potentially hire as defensive coordinator if you want to go that route. There's other names. You can bring in guys from college who are doing a good job. There are names that you can, look at, but they have some time, not a ton of time, but more than they had before. So we lost Zach. Looks like I don't know what happened if he's going back in. So
It's the internet there. Spotty.
I know. Got to get off.
I mean,
that.
we got he was pretty
Christ.
clear
For a minute, yeah.
It was your settings.
was-
It was your settings that made him clear before y'all joined.
Oh, well.
Maybe.
Nah, he was
Maybe.
clear though. He was clear no matter what.
But yeah,
All right.
so there are people. Someone in the chat said Matt Eberflus, Ron Rivera.
So there's okay. I see what people are doing. They're actually naming other guys who are available that may.
Or available, yeah.
What was Lovie Smith? Is he a defensive guy? I feel like he's a defensive guy.
Lovie Smith is a defensive guy. Is he still a head coach in college?
Yeah, but so
I
is
don't know why
that
you would
better?
leave
Is an NFL coordinator position better than a head coach in college?
No,
I don't know.
Hell no.
No.
You kind of run
No.
the entire show as a head coach wherever you're at, but for sure
Right.
in college, yeah, like you're especially with like in the college level, you're bribing, well, not bribing, but you're bringing in people. You're like, you're making it's your show, and then going from that to like a defensive coordinator or a coordinator position.
Let's just say, like, who has more cachet? Let's just say, let's pick a defensive coordinator in the NFL. Who has more cachet?
Jim
Steve
Schwartz.
Spagnuolo, Jim Schwartz, or do you look at somebody like Nick Saban when he was there, a Ryan Day? Do you look at somebody like Coach Prime?
Okay,
Do you look at some? You know what I'm saying?
But you're naming dogs. Like you're naming like
no. Deion Sanders is a shit coach. Get the fuck out of here. He's not a dog. He's
stop
dog
it.
shit.
But I will say crazy.
The job,
you said
the job
What do you
is
mean?
what you make it.
What's
though.
he won in
The job
college?
is what you make it.
What's he won in college?
you said cachet. If he has anything, it's cachet.
That's what I'm saying. He does, but that doesn't make him a good coach. That's the whole point. You said you're naming dogs, and I'm like, he's not dog. He's dog shit.
He is.
Yeah.
He's exceeded the the win
No, he did
expectation. He went to a team that was supposed to win 2 games, and they won 5 or 6. What are you talking about?
They were last place in the Pac-12.
Still, that's where they were supposed to be. With it, they were supposed to be a
Last
2-win
year.
program,
with his nepo babies on each side of the ball.
and
then
they're
what
about to
happened-
go
and-
in the first round. What are you saying?
They're balling out. They're balling out
hold
a
on,
little bit.
and then what happened when they faced an actual team in a bowl game? They got fucking boat raced.
This is heavy hate. Yeah,
Shadur Sanders is going to be dog shit.
I don't feel like
Shiloh
it's
Sanders
hate.
is not
I feel like
going to be a
it's pretty-
first-round pick. The only talented person on that team was Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter's good.
Hey,
Listen,
R.I.P. my
I got-
man Travis Hunter though. He ain't. I mean, he's already.
Yeah,
dying.
listen, he's elite at
Before
everything
you-
except picking his girlfriend.
Hey, listen.
Except living life, man. He's bad at living life. What are you doing, man? He's good at.
I have
playing
no
football,
problem-
and That's it.
I have no problem saying that I don't think Shador is going to be a good quarterback at the pro
No.
level. I have no problem
He's
saying
going to
that.
go
but
first round. He is going to go first round.
He
Shiloh Sanders
he
is
will go
not going
high.
to go first round.
But what I won't say is that Deion is not a good coach. I don't see. He motivates an entire city around him, and he increases the value of that entire program. Maybe that's not coaching. I'm with you. Hear me out.
No,
Maybe
it is
that's
coaching.
not coaching.
It is coaching. It's an aspect
But
of it.
he also was a good recruit for these small places that nobody was ever
Another
looking
great
at. So
aspect
that's
of it.
fine.
Another great aspect, yeah.
That's absolutely fine. But that doesn't make you somebody like there's talks about him becoming an NFL coach. He will absolutely flop at the NFL level because that rah-rah shit doesn't work with professionals. Nobody gives a fuck that Deion Sanders is a coach. Every high school kid wanting to get recruited to college is like, oh shit, that's Deion Sanders. Nobody in the NFL gives a fuck about Deion Sanders. And you can be a motivation guy and then surround yourself with other good coaches to carry you through. You absolutely can do that because you can be a good recruiter based off of your reputation and whatever else. You don't actually.
Well, the staff is more important than the. I think the staff is more important than the head coach.
But yeah, right. You can get away with being a less than stellar actual coach. Like, is he like a motivational speaker guy? Absolutely. Like, does he have charisma and personality? Absolutely. But that doesn't really make you a good coach. If I can't give John Lynch the credit of being an actual GM because everybody thinks he's a mouthpiece because he's good in front of a camera, then I'm not going to give Deion the accolades of being a good coach when he's essentially doing the same shit.
You did also say
now we're talking
on this podcast that what's his name? The head coach right now for fucking the Rams Would
Sean
it never
McVay.
come back?
Sean McVay.
Or no, not the Rams. I'm sorry. The fucking Chargers. Would it ever come back to the NFL?
Oh, Harbaugh?
Yeah.
When did I say that?
On his, I don't know when exactly, but I
Yeah, but
watched
then
it.
yeah,
right
but then he got Michigan a national championship and was going to get boat raced out by the NCAA. So he had.
I mean, you're not wrong,
Good.
but so things change. Things change. Is my point.
I mean, things can change, but that's not a. I mean, the more they change, the more they stay the same, right? Greg Roman is still hanging on to Jim Harbaugh's coattails and running a 2-yard and a cloud of dust offense that they can't get anywhere in the playoffs.
I think this comment kind of backs up Matt's point too. Dan Campbell is as rah-rah as he gets, and look at his two coordinators that are about to get poached. Like Matt said, you can have
that's
a
kind of my
coach,
point. Yes,
but Mike's point, that surround him with top coordinators.
Yeah,
right.
And that's exactly
and that's what I'm saying. I don't think there's anybody out there that will say Dan Campbell's a bad head coach, right?
Sirianni.
But everyone wants to run through a wall for Dan Campbell, right? But he's not an X's and O's guy. He's very this is going to sound like a shot, and I hate to say it this way, but he's very Neanderthal-like, right? Like, ooh, see ball, get ball, right? But he lives and breathes it, and you guys like this, so we're going to do what you guys like. That's the extent of his coaching, and it's enough to get everybody on that roster to buy in 100%. The coordinators are more important for implementing the game plan than what Dan Campbell.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference. Dan Campbell got his head coaching job with Detroit in 2021. He had been either an intern or a position or assistant head coach for 10 years prior to that point. Deion went to Jackson State with no coaching experience whatsoever, and then parlayed 2 years of that into a head coaching job at. Mm-hmm. Before that, he was on TV.
Yeah, but you got to start somewhere, and he's excelled, and he's got the pro experience, and he was a pro at the highest level of the pros.
Mike, here's
just
the
like
difference.
Jeff Saturday.
But here's the difference, Mike. When you start out as a position guy, you actually get to learn the craft of coaching without having to be like the head guy. You actually get to learn nuance without the spotlight. Deion's not learning anything by just.
Are you telling me that you think Dan Campbell today would be a better head coach than Deion would today?
He is a better head coach than Deion is today.
I need to take a break. I need to cut the tension.
Oh, there's no tension.
Right there? No, I'm joking. I don't mean it for real. I don't mean it for real.
Mike, what has Deion done that makes him a better coach than Dan Campbell?
I told you already. He has turned not one but two college organizations completely around. Like he's got these guys featured on ESPN. People are watching these. He is recruited.
Don't mistake spotlight for ability. Don't mistake cachet for ability.
They are doubling and tripling the wins expected for these teams. Like I don't understand what more you want this guy to do.
Pardon me if I'm not really impressed with him turning Jackson State around.
Is he supposed to take Colorado and make them go toe to toe with Ohio State?
Yes.
Like, absolutely not.
Yes.
Let's not stand above these.
Yes.
Absolutely not. What are we saying here?
What do you mean?
Okay.
He's the guy, right? It's his second year. Did he not get any recruits?
Did you think Deion is exposed and has the same recruiting opportunities as Ohio State?
He's Deion
Forget
Sanders.
Ohio State. Do you think he has the same recruiting opportunities as Georgia?
Did you not just say that he was getting these kids on TV all the time?
Yes. He's doing that for
that
HBCUs and Colorado. Yes.
That doesn't
help. He has completely
with
turned around those two organizations.
That doesn't help with recruiting?
Are you telling me that they're on par with Georgia or Clemson or Ohio State? Are you telling me that you think that they're the same?
The schools?
No, the opportunities and the recruiting potential.
Well, with the eyes,
it's not
on
the same
product.
It's not the same. Michigan wasn't even at Ohio State's level, and Harbaugh just happened to really keep going and going and going and going. And Michigan and Ohio State, I don't put them on the same level. I think Ohio State still has an edge. Harbaugh just kept going. And where Michigan is, Colorado's not even on the same screen as them. It's not the same. I just think that trying to say Deion hasn't done anything is wild. That is a wild statement.
Who's he played?
It's Colorado. They're going to play 2 big teams every year, and they're supposed to get smoked by both of those teams.
So then how can you say he's done
That's
a better
how
job
college
than Dan
works.
Campbell? How can you say he's done a better job than Dan Campbell, who was the current #1 seed in the NFC and got his team to the NFC Championship game last year? That's more of an accomplishment to me than Colorado Buffaloes going fucking 8, 9, and 4 or whatever, and then getting smoked in their bowl game.
I disagree.
All right, let's table this.
I think that's where I
Let's table
disagree.
this. Let's table
All right.
this. We'll talk
right.
college ball soon. By the way, Mr. Laidback 808, why not Richard Sherman's 49ers DC? I saw he responded to a fan asking this, and he basically
He said he would not do a good job.
There are a ton of coaches that are way better than him at the moment, maybe sometime in the future, but he likes what he's doing right now on TV as an analyst, and it's just not something
I respect
feel
that.
comfortable
That's a
doing.
Stanford-educated young man right there who has
Stanford
enough
answer.
self-awareness to know that, like, hey, man, I'm not ready for that job. He has the awareness that Nick Sorensen did not. And by the way, in retrospect, watching Dan Sorensen's, like, Nick Sorensen. See, I don't even give a fuck because his name is, I don't even give a fuck.
He's
what
the
his name
new
is.
Yidam.
He's the new Yidam. But he just sounds like a stoner guy. That initial press conference that we all defended, we were like, maybe he doesn't want to throw Wilkes under the bus. In retrospect, just makes him look like an idiot. Like he didn't know what was going on.
I don't think he's not
he was
afraid of
asked
looking like an idiot, though.
by Grant Cohn, I think Grant Cohn or Larry Kruger, one of those,
Kruger.
shit. It was Kruger, one of those shit stirs. Like, hey, like what happened last year with the run, and how are you gonna and he's like, everything that happened, we're gonna look at and we're gonna deal with it. And it's like, fuck, the run defense is like way worse, dude.
That was tough. It was tough, but we were like, "What is he supposed to
Zach,
say?"
it's like you picking your parlay, man. They should have done the exact opposite of what they did.
Pretty much. Pretty much. All right, let's end this with a nice bow, and then we'll move on to the next topic. If you had to put money on right now, the next 49ers defensive coordinator is Matt. You're on the big screen. Go first.
Man, honestly, I think it's going to be Jeff Ulbrich.
Mike?
Yeah.
If I'm putting money on it, I'm going Robert Saleh. He's not the one I want, but if I had to bet money, I mean, because they already essentially came out and said it. So I'm going to go with Robert Saleh.
Eric?
Yeah, I think I prefer Jeff Ulbrich, but the Niners are nostalgic like that. I think it's going to be Robert Saleh.
Well, fuck it. I can't bet for shit. So give me Lou Anaromo. They haven't even interviewed this man, but there is absolutely no reason this dude should have been fired by Cincinnati. I get that the stats weren't there, right? But look what he's working with. Like, he had the leading sack totaler in the NFL in Trey Hendrickson. The defense, when it has parts, it's always working really well. Fucking the owner, is it Brown, Sam Brown, or whatever the hell his name is, refuses to pay anyone. So they let Jesse Bates walk. They let, all these good defensive players walk. They're fighting with T. Higgins. They're fighting with Jamar Chase. They're going to fight with Joe Burrow again. Like
they let Joe Mixon walk, who's had a career year in
traded
Houston.
him for peanuts. They traded him for peanuts. Like, I think Lou Anaromo, and not on top of all of that, out of all these DCs that are out there, he's the only one that has a winning record versus Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. What's the one thing the 49ers can't get by? Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Lou Anaromo was like, oh, yeah, I've done that. Oh, yeah, I'm also looking for a job. Yeah, I don't know. They just didn't call me. I don't know. I'm just sitting here. My phone didn't ring. Call the man, Kyle. Call the man. I think they're too nervous to change things. They're too nervous to implement a new scheme, even though Kyle said he's open to everything. The fact that you offered Robert Saleh the job within like 5 minutes of sitting down with him and not even seeing anybody else tells me you really aren't that interested and open. You're just like, I guess I could see it happening, but I'd rather keep things the same. I'd rather not change a single thing and just bring in the guy. And Mike, we brought this up last show. If you do hire a new guy, is he going to be able to bring his coaches? Or are you going to tell him, coach who we have here, like you've made the last two coaches do, and Steve Wilkes and Nick Sorensen? There's a lot of questions. So,
yeah, and that's the bullshit I want to try to avoid. I'm being honest with you. Like, I just don't want to see us like, oh, we're doing this. We're interviewing guys. Okay, now stick with this. It's not real. It's not real.
Yeah,
it's not real. What we're seeing.
I'm
is
good with
absurd.
them getting rid of Kasurek too. Like, I think it's just a complete overhaul. Get rid of him. Just start from the beginning.
And get
Get
honestly,
Brandon
I'm
Staley's
clean
ass out of
overall,
here.
yeah.
That dude's a bum.
I wait. Caveat: I will keep Staley if you guys let him run his defense here and let him recruit and bring
What do you
in other
mean?
people.
The defense looked like the same shit with the Chargers, giving up late game leads. That's a Brandon
that
Staley
part-
trait right
that-
there.
That part is true.
I
You know
say
damn well.
just for the vibes alone, get him out
Yeah.
of here. Just off the slight chance he might be fucking things up with his spirit.
Mike, have you ever seen the video of Brandon Staley when he was the Chargers head coach pregame running up and down the stairs?
No, have you seen
No,
him doing the
Oh, yeah.
doggy style stretch?
Oh yeah, the doggy style stretches. Yep.
Yeah,
Cat cow yoga shit.
yeah.
Nah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Nah.
any of that stuff. No.
It's good.
But
You're good.
so you guys are talking about him as a head coach as opposed to
As a defensive coordinator. I don't want him to be a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He had that one good season with the Rams, and I think that's been
Right.
entirely overblown. Oh, there you go.
you're
That's
gonna
all.
show me the
You don't
shit.
even have to show
I-
a video.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
the
want to.
shit.
All right.
He can't be the defensive
get it.
coordinator.
That
I get it.
alone,
Okay.
that alone cancels it out.
It's bad
And look,
form.
there's not.
It's
Listen,
bad
there's
form.
nothing wrong with doing yoga, but like, do that shit in the locker room.
You're
Why are
not
you on
going
the
out to
field doing
lace
that
him
shit?
up, dude. You're not gonna
Yeah.
go play 4 quarters right now.
Let me tell you this straight up. Anyone
Eric
that's
said
like that
bad
out there on
form.
the field, no, get him out of here. It's bad form. It's bad form. You can throw your back out, man. Right? It's clean. It's not going to be in there.
Yeah.
That's bad form.
I mean,
Can't
he's
do it.
posing like his back got blown out.
It's ready for it.
Oh my god.
It's ready for it. Matt,
All right.
You know?
No more defensive coordinator talk until they hire someone, or until we get
Wait,
some
hold
money.
on.
Oh,
Did Eric say who he would take? Who he's putting his
said-
money? If
he
you had to
said
put money on
Salah,
it?
yeah. He said he wants
Oh, he
Oldberg,
said-
but
okay.
he would probably bet.
I
Salah.
listen.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Don't underestimate. I hear that Shad Khan likes Robert Saleh a lot. I think Saleh's getting the Jacksonville job.
And he's going
To
to
be
get
honest.
fucked by Trent Baalke there. We
Yep.
told him not to go to New York. We told him he was going to get fucked in New York. Now he's going to go to Jacksonville, where Trent Baalke's just got another head coach canned.
To be fair,
Like,
though,
Shot.
with the New York job, like, how do you turn that down? How do you turn down a head coach job? You know, like, how do you?
That's the
I
thing.
get it, but like you
Same
you're
thing
like,
with
I could-
Jacksonville. You
I
can't.
could do
Yeah.
it.
yeah. It is.
Especially if you
money.
look at it and was like, hey, Rodgers was a shit show. He was supposed to come here and help us. He turned into a big fucking headache. He
Even
had that
before that,
injury.
We had
He-
the second
you know,
overall pick. We're going
blah,
to get our
blah, blah.
franchise guy,
Mhm.
Zach
Yeah.
Wilson.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mike, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Shad Khan did say with Bulky right next to him.
Yeah, that
If
was
the
awkward.
next head coach comes in and has a better plan at the GM position, I am not committed to this guy. So
I
I
just
like
wanna
that.
say,
Not-
too-
I'm not trying to be funny at all, but that is a way
No.
to get someone good in that building. Like I'm not. This guy has failed me over and over, time and time again. If you give me a better option, I will happily move on.
And
I
you know
like
how Balky knows that he fucked up? He didn't immediately, like, after the interview, be like, nah, fuck that, I'm out. Because anybody with pride
Right.
in their job and knew that they were doing a good job wouldn't tolerate that shit.
he was
They'd be
just-
like, no, I'm
Exactly.
good. You want to replace me? Fuck it. I'll replace myself. See ya.
it. Right.
By the way, the Raiders firing their GM, I'm forgetting his name right now.
Tom Telesco. Yeah.
Absolute dog shit of a franchise. Absolute dog
Yeah.
shit. Say what you want about Antonio Pierce. Telesco has like so many blue chip talent on his resume. Players that
He
he's
did.
drafted.
He did with the Chargers too. When he was with the Chargers,
He
he's
just
a
got
very good
Brock
talent
Bowers.
evaluator.
Like the dude is legit, and the fact that, and again, the criticism on him is he gets the obvious ones but misses in the later rounds. Sure, that's fine, but getting the obvious ones isn't always so obvious.
Wait. How many years did he have in Oak or Las Vegas, whatever?
I want to say 2.
Like, yeah, he
It's
got
a whole
hired.
Organization. Yeah.
He,
Sorry, go
he
ahead.
got hired with
Pierce.
yeah, because previous to that it was Mike Mayock. Remember that
Yeah, but I
Pierce
thought
was
Mayock
the
was like 3 or
coordinator,
4
though,
years
right?
ago.
with John Gruden, and then when was? Let's see.
I'm only asking because here's what it is. This is what it comes down to with GMs. I know you guys, no one wants to admit it, but GMs are tied to quarterbacks also,
It was a year
just like
ago.
head coaches are.
A year
Not in
ago.
Oakland, though.
So he was literally 1 year. He was
He was one and done.
this article from January 23rd, 2024. The Vegas Raiders have hired former Los Angeles Chargers general manager Tom Telesco as their new GM, as it was announced.
That's
on
the
Tuesday.
end of the 2023 season. Wow. So he got 1 year there. Oh, that is a crazy firing.
Yeah.
Okay. Like let him pick a fucking quarterback then, dude. Like what are you doing? Okay.
Right.
Right.
You rolled him in there with Gardner Minshew and AOC and expected him to
yeah, that's
And he still
crazy.
pulled Brock Bowers.
yeah, record-setting tight end. So
Yep.
Not better than George Kittle though.
Brady wanted. A lot of people are saying this. Brady is a minority owner, guys. Tom Brady's
Yeah.
not calling the shots.
So
Maybe he
weird.
has some input.
He has a lot of sway there, believe it or not.
Uh,
Mark Davis is leaning very heavily into Tom Brady.
I mean, you got to think about that. Like, who wouldn't? You're some billionaire owner, and you
Barely.
are like, okay, yeah, great. But you're owning one of the worst teams ever in the NFL. Like, of course, if one fucking random magnificent quarterback wants to come in and fucking own a part of your team, of course you're
Yeah.
going to lean in there. And he should. He should. I think he should.
the whole thing's fucked up.
Horrible franchise.
Allowing
Horrible
him to
fucking
call
franchise.
games. Like this week, he's calling the Lions game. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, I'm pretty sure are interviewing for the Raiders job, yet he's calling the game. Like, I know Fox put all these weird restrictions on what he can and can't do, and he can't be in the meetings, but he can't do this and he can't do that. And it's just a fucked up situation all around. And I think at some point, something's got to give. He's either going to step down from being Fox or sell his stake in the Raiders, but it's too, I don't know, corrupted
Convoluted.
right now.
Yeah.
Convoluted. There you go.
I'll put it to you this way: Tom Brady is the only reason that Ben Johnson is seriously considering that job.
For sure. For sure. I agree.
Like 100%. And it's just a shame about Telesco. You know, he gets stifled with bad quarterback play. You know, Devontae Adams wants out like immediately. He has a good draft. Like, you know, their draft class looks pretty good. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be
It's a
interesting.
funny
to see.
comment from Kurt. Football God's probably not going to bless a Raiders Brady marriage. Tuck rule precedent.
I mean, they've made the playoffs twice in the last 22 years, so I don't know how you can get much worse than that.
All right. Let's just talk some playoffs, guys. Fuck it. We're here. There's not much else going. Mike, please.
Right before we get to playoffs, I know it's not a big thing. I care about it. Special teams coordinator. Do you guys have a preference?
I like is it Saints or Lions guy that they brought in? Where's
Jet.
Dave Taub?
Jet.
Is Dave Taub
Jet
out there?
Modkins. Who?
Dave Taub? However you pronounce his last name.
Oh, Tap. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Is he
Oh, he's-
available?
Chris Tabor. It's Chris Tabor, the former interim coach of the Panthers.
No, he's good too. But I was thinking of Taub. Apparently, Taub's with the fucking Chiefs because of course he is. I thought he was with the Cowboys and got let go, but he didn't. Tabor, yeah, I did see they brought in Tabor. I like that. He was the interim coach for the Panthers for a bit. They brought him in for an interview. Let me look up who they brought in. Mike, what are your thoughts on it?
I really, really like this guy from the Lions, Modkins. I thought that it was a really good because the Lions have this like we're gonna do what the players are interested in, and I think that is the bottom of the totem pole for Niners priority, right? It's like coaches think this, or coordinators think this, or the captains think this, and then the players, right? Where the Lions, I kind of feel like it's the opposite, right? And I think the Niners need to adopt some of that mentality where, hey, let's run this play because certain players like it. Like, when's the last time you guys remember a 49ers fake punt? Just attempt. Forget success or not. When's the last time you remember a fake punt, right? Like,
Oh, when fucking Ronnie Bell got flagged for Mitch. I don't even think it was called. I think that was just Mitch Wisnowski taking what he saw and he ran with it, and then Ronnie Bell got flagged against Seattle.
right. So I couldn't tell if that was a real fake or if it was a bot
wasn't.
play because it was like, what the hell was that, right?
Wisnowski, I
But-
think, said afterwards he just saw the open space and took it.
Yes.
I got a name for you guys, and he just became available. John Fossil in Dallas.
Okay, so that's who I was thinking of.
Okay.
'Cause I
John
knew-
Fossil, former Giants
Cowboys.
head coach. Dallas, I think, was first in kickoff return DVOA this season. Obviously, he found an absolute diamond in Brandon Aubrey. So, you know.
But even the returners are good, right? Dallas is like always
Oh,
near the
Turpin.
top.
Turpin is-
Devontae
yeah.
Turpin. They're always near the top ranked special teams units.
Yeah.
And look, like Matt said, Mike McCarthy's out of Dallas, all of those coaches are
his coaches are
unemployed
going
right
with
now.
him.
So I would call him like right now.
Yeah.
We need to
And that's
help.
part of being patient.
Curtis Sampson, good call out. Jim Fossil was the head coach. John Fossil hasn't been. Name is a name. You can show us how much I pay attention to the New York fucking Giants, who suck.
But just so a roundup on names, Jet Modkins from the Lions, Chris Banjo of the Broncos, and Chris Tabor, formerly of the Panthers. Those are the three names that have been reported. Also, it was floated around by Shanahan that Sorensen could be demoted, I guess would be the correct term, to special teams coach. So there's a few coaches that are being floated for this. Now, last thing on the Niners, is Moody back next year?
No,
I hope
fuck
not.
No.
Eric, no.
They can designate him a
no.
Oh, go ahead. They can designate him a post June 1st release and save about $200,000. He's only going to count like $800,000 against a cap or whatever, like $1 million.
He can set cones out there for special teams. You know, he can go out there, get some water bottles out. He can do whatever he wants for the money he's earning. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell he's like the kicker that the Niners rely on.
Mm-hmm.
It's been too long.
What do they do then? Do they go and draft another one, or do they?
doesn't matter.
They found dudes off the street that were better than him.
Exactly, and they were all better than him. That's the thing, right? Like you go
None of
from
them
thinking
missed.
like, oh, we got to get a guy that's really good, and all of a sudden it's like, damn, that guy was just as oh shit, that guy was just as good. It's the running back position all over again. Just bring somebody in.
So different that where you're saying a lot of them missed is like we drafted a kicker. That kicker missed almost that fucking everything, extra kicks and everything. We had kickers off the street that made extra kicks and beyond that, and so we don't expect shit. We don't expect much off of the kickers that we get from that category, right? Like off the street, whatever. Sure, you made it from that far, from 20, 30, 40, right? Like great, amazing. So that's the difference. That's the difference. The fact that we drafted a kicker and he ain't making extra kicks, line of cones up.
Yeah. No.
Line of cones up.
Not at all. Not at all. Don't let Shanahan fool you. Not at all.
So
If
all right.
if he couldn't play, then he shouldn't have played. Because it would have been better for him to sit the rest of the season than go out there and kick 70% on his field goals.
Yeah, I'm not buying the injury shit. You're
Not
either
at
healthy
all.
or you're not. I'm not buying it. So
Not at all. That's like
The
the
only
whole when
thing-
people are talking about Fred Warner finished the season with a broken bone in his ankle. No, he didn't. 6 to 8 weeks for a bone to heal. Get the fuck out of here.
yeah,
I
that shit
would put-
it's been healed a long time ago. That's why he said, "Oh, I don't need surgery." Sorry.
It might. Yeah,
It's healed.
exactly. No
Yeah.
surgery needed.
I would put more weight in the theory that the new holder fucked with Moody more than an injury fucked with Moody, because the whole laces out. I've seen kickers. I don't know shit
Honestly-
about kicking, but I've seen kickers like Jay
Don't
Feely
get. Hey,
say,
I'm not getting finessed with that shit either.
I don't
You know
I don't
why?
want him back. I don't want him back. I'm just saying I would put more weight into that
sure.
than an injury being the reason why.
I mean, right? A feather is heavier than air. Yeah, that's as much weight as I put into that. Because here's why. You guys didn't fucking practice and be like, "Hey, man, put the ball like this." And after 2 weeks of him not doing that, you didn't say like, "Nah, fuck it, we got to get somebody else back here to hold my shit."
Every
That's
You
good
could have
point.
got
Moody-
Brandon Allen. You could have got Dobbs. You could have got anybody back
could have
there.
made Purdy go out there and hold kicks for all I care.
I mean, no, you do the backups, but you
Ev-
could have got
every-
anybody out there.
Every kick that Moody missed, they show the replay. None of them were laces in. I don't recall any laces in.
Somebody made a thing like, oh, they pointed the ball like to
The ball was
Moody's left
pointed.
side. The ball was away from the holder rather than towards the holder. You want it straight up or towards the holder because every kicker has like a natural draw to their kick.
To be fair, it wasn't just somebody. It was Jay Feely, like a fucking top
Kicker.
Sure.
kicker in the
Okay.
NFL.
But-
But yes,
But I mean, that's kickers sticking up for kickers, right? Like,
fair, good point,
dude,
This
he's
comment by Ali
Moody.
is wild.
Moody is like Chuck Knobloch was with the New York Yankees, dude. Just got the yips.
I will say that now that he says that, I think the ball leaning towards the kicker is odd. That If that did happen,
no, not towards the kicker. You're misunderstanding me. You know how like they're at a 90 degree from the kicker when they do it.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I illustrate this?
Use your mic.
So, all right. So this is the football, right? You want the holder to like hold it this way, right?
Which direction is the kicker coming from?
Straight up.
From behind.
From this side. From this side. Okay, so I'm holding it. He's coming from the opposite side. So Moody either wants it like this, or this is what Jay Feely was saying. You either want the ball kind of turned like this when you put it down, or straight. And he's saying he did it like this.
Towards the kicker. That's what I was saying. I said towards the kicker is weird.
No, but towards the sideline, not towards the kicker.
Oh.
By the way, I did one quick search of Jay Feely, Jake Moody. I take absolutely nothing this man says about Jake Moody seriously anymore. He clearly has a vested interest in Jake Moody's success. There's like 500 tweets. Why the fuck is he tweeting about Jake Moody?
Shit.
Going back to his time at Michigan. I thought this dude was a legitimate, credible source. This dude's been hyping up Jake Moody since like 2022, dude. So
okay.
Take back
All
everything
right,
I
so
said. I take back every single thing I said.
Well, I mean, in college he was killing it, but
yeah, who knows? But
here, man.
Yeah.
I like this. Just another Roberto Aguayo. Now, this is the only thing that I have as fear, right? Koo from Atlanta is great, but he was drafted by the Chargers, and they cut him after like a year and a half or 2 years.
Yep.
Because he was missing, and then he became good. So, you worry about that stuff. But if you expect to be healthy and you expect to make an actual run in the playoffs, I mean, the only reason they kept Moody around is because they were out of playoff contention.
Right. This year didn't mean anything.
Right. If you're in the playoffs, you're not fucking keeping Jake Moody for shit. They would have cut him like 4 weeks before the end of the season. Let's just say they won those 3 games that they choked away in the fourth quarter, and they were 8-2, like Shanahan said. Dude, Moody would have been gone.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have been able to afford to keep him.
Ollie says, can I get a shout out from Moody? I said it way before anyone else. You did, but you are also a grade A hater, my friend. You don't like anything. So yes, you didn't like Moody.
You also said that Dre Greenlaw would have a bigger impact on the 49ers than Fred Warner this year. So like you got kind of, a broken clock is right twice a day, my friend.
Okay.
That it is.
Let's talk. Is there anything else before we talk playoffs?
I'm sorry. Let's get the playoffs. Yeah.
Okay, no, you're good. All right. So the Rams absolutely whooped the Vikings on Monday night.
Speaking of people calling stuff, I had a bunch of people trying to argue with me that they would rather have that fucking pumpkin Sam Darnold than Brock Purdy. And I'm like, based on what? And one guy in particular tried to tell me, oh, well, he's better than him now. And I'm like, okay, he went to a new situation with a stacked offense and a good play caller. But that doesn't erase the previous 6 years of tape. So for me, the choice for coach of the year is simple. Kevin O'Connell dragged Sam Darnold to a 14-win season. You should win, dude. Yep. When it came down to actually facing good teams, though, they couldn't do it. And I can't believe that people watched him against Detroit in the last week of the season and was like, oh, yeah, dude, they're going to put a hurting on the Rams.
Yeah. How wild
insane to me.
Their season, they lost to the Rams, the Lions, won every other game, and then lost to the Lions and lost to the Lions, Rams, won every other game, and then lost to the Lions, Rams to end the season. Those are the only 4 teams they lost to this year, Lions and Rams, twice each. So it was tough, man. And I tweeted out, we were talking about this before we went live, Mike. I tweeted out a joke saying, don't ever compare Sam Darnold to Brock Purdy again. Brock Purdy actually wins playoff games. I had like fucking Packers fans coming out to defend Sam Darnold just to talk shit about Brock Purdy. Like, it was really weird, but it's like, if you watch Monday night,
we'll get to the Packers, boy.
Yeah,
we'll get to the Packers, fellas.
If you watched Monday night and I saw Dan Orlovsky, and it had to be a bit, because Dan Orlovsky said Sam Darnold was like 4th or 5th on my list of things that the Vikings, went wrong for them on Monday night. Respectfully, what the fuck, dude? Like, are we talking like is climate change number 1 on your list? Like, is saving the whales number 2? Like, what the fuck went wrong
the
that
ozone
was
layer?
higher than Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold could not get the ball out, and when he did, he was throwing it either behind a receiver, directly to the defense. He got sacked 9 times, and like half of those happened after 4 seconds of having the ball. I think he's a little higher than like 4th or 5th on a list. So Sam Darnold, absolutely, Matt. Kudos to you. Reverted to a pumpkin on the brightest of lights and the biggest of stages. It just went horribly, and I actually feel for him because he probably cost himself about $50 million, if not more.
A dude has an arm. He has like an AirPod case for a fucking brain. He just fucking cannot fucking do shit when he's like the pocket is collapsing.
The talent is there. The talent has always been there. It's never been about the talent. It's always
like
been
90%
about
of the quarterbacks in the league right now, though.
Yeah.
Like the talent there, you just can't move forward.
It's like when you go to like your local YMCA and there was like a guy who made the NBA for like 4 months one time 30 years ago. And yeah, but he can still, he's the best fucking hooper ever. You know, it's like Scalabrini. Was it Scalabrini? I forget who said it. I'm way closer to Michael Jordan.
I'm way closer to Michael Jordan than you are to me.
Yeah. So it's like, that's like the same shit with Sam Darnold. It's like, yeah, he's got the talent because he's in the NFL. Of course he has the talent.
Oh,
but that doesn't mean what?
When I was watching highlights of that game, I do want to say that fucking flying tackle was the funniest shit that I have seen in a while. Like he just like he was a wrestler coming off the top rope. He was like crossbody this motherfucker. That shit was hilarious. He didn't land on him. Yeah, I mean it would have been roughing the passer. Yeah. Somebody asked about the Matt Stafford got away with the no fumble call. Dude, that is the most like trash shit.
I just gotta play this back.
Oh my god, yeah, we gotta play it. Play it from the beginning.
In case you guys missed it, look at this.
That's ridiculous.
He sucks, man.
Oh man.
Look at this jump. Full on Superman.
He was going after
playing,
him, man.
They're playing pro wrestling right there. Look at this. This is pro wrestling.
That's hilarious.
That's so funny.
Did you guys see my man Witherspoon out there? Huh?
I saw you. I saw him. I saw you, Mike.
Forced fumble, some big tackles, some PBUs.
Yeah, leave it to him.
Let's
to
go.
Finally start playing well once he gets with our division rival. And
stop! He was playing well here.
8 or 9 years in the league.
Who was the defensive backs coach when he was here for the 49ers? Did we fire that fucker?
That's a good question.
Damn.
No.
He is gone though, but
I will say, listen, I do want to say one thing though, and I can't believe it's kind of going backwards, but with how good that DeAndre Lenore played and Renardo Green as a rookie played, I don't know. Maybe Staley's good with corners. He sucks with safeties because all of our safeties sucked except for Malik Mustafa.
Corners have been a bright spot. Yeah, that's true. So I would keep Staley for that specific reason.
Yeah, going back to this game.
I'm glad you guys are crediting
fumble.
Staley for the corners because that's not what he does at all. But that's
he's
weird.
Worked pretty extensively with the corners.
Before he was a defensive coordinator.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. You guys are saying Staley. I was thinking
Brandon
Sorensen.
Staley.
My apologies. I was thinking Sorensen. My bad.
Yeah, so that's the Matthew Stafford fumble that was called an incomplete pass and whatever. I think the competition committee is going to look at shit like that and get rid of that because that was a joke and that was in 4K for everybody to see.
At the very worst,
that was embarrassing.
Intentional grounding. At the very worst, intentional grounding. And the fact that they didn't even throw the flag, they just second down, you know.
I can't remember what game it was, but Brock Purdy had a similar moment where he tried to do the same shit, and the only reason why it wasn't called a fumble was because his shin was down on the ground. I can't remember what game it was for the life of me. I feel like it was like Rams or somebody like that.
Yeah. The thing was so fucked up. All right, but this game, if you guys have any thoughts on it, I just mainly wanted to clown on the Vikings. Because you win 14 games, have your fans talking about changing the way playoffs works because a 14-win team shouldn't have to go on the road on wild card weekend, and you got fucking smoked. I don't even think they put up double-digit points Monday night. It was embarrassing. Like that was an embarrassing performance.
Yeah, it was 27-9.
See, they didn't put up double-digit points, and you couldn't even argue. Well, we had to go into like hostile territory. It was at fucking State Farm Arena in Arizona. It was as close to mutual ground game that you could get.
Is SoFi really a hostile? I mean, it's not when the 49ers go to town, so.
It's not, but I'm saying, like, it's not like they could argue, well, we were on the road.
Yeah.
Maybe SoFi has really good catering for the visitors, and they were missing that, you know?
Maybe.
What I mean?
We all know there's certain stadiums, right, that are bad. Philly, where they're going to call your wife something.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
Oh, speaking of Philly, just to top off this game, I know we're going to get to Philly, but I'm going to pick the Rams over the Eagles. Eagles feel hella fake to me.
I don't blame you for that one. Actually, that was going to be one of my.
Saquon Barkley, real. Jalen Hurts, trash.
Yeah,
not good.
I never bought into the whole Vikings thing all season long. I just felt like they were fake. I felt like they were a first half team. Once you make adjustments against them, as long as their lead isn't too big, you can overcome them. But unfortunately, they were just dominant in first halves, and they got enough of a lead where it was tough for people to catch up to them, right? So if you can score one or two times in the second half, which is all they ever did, then you could go out there and hold off some of these teams. But I just never believed in them from the beginning. I never believed in them. I thought that Sam Darnold was a fraud. I didn't like their run game, and I felt like he just threw too many Hail Marys. It caught up with them at the end of it all. I feel bad for some of those players on the defensive side of the ball that really believe that they were building something special and all that, and maybe they are, but it's not going to be with Sam Darnold at the helm of that offense.
Well, Mike, do you know? First of all, their list of free agents is like a mile long. And second, as it stands right now, they have 4 draft selections for the upcoming draft.
4 picks.
4.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, shit. Well, get ready for the rebuild, baby. Here you go. Get ready for the rebuild. Yeah, so I didn't believe in them. Now, it sucks that the Rams had to be going against them because I believe that they would have lost to any of these teams in the NFC. It sucks that they had to go against the Rams in our division opponents, another team that I hate, happen to benefit from it. But
at
the
least
Rams
they got
go
a
ahead
first
and
rounder.
advance. Yeah.
At least they got a first rounder.
This is Matt. You said pending the Kirk Cousins comp pick, I think, right?
Yeah. So they'll have 4. So they're going to get a third round comp because Kirk Cousins left in free agency. By the way, whoever that Caleb Williams guy is an idiot. First of all, if they decided to trade J.J. McCarthy, he would go for much higher than a second and a third round pick.
Which also, Sam Darnold
he hasn't
completely shitting the bed.
And then he said trade both fifths for Romeo Doubs. Dude, Sam Darnold lost money faster than somebody like at the ass end of a pyramid scheme.
Sam Darnold's shitting the bed. Fuck the Niners because they're probably going to get a worse comp pick now. I mean, I think they were going to get like a 6th or 7th rounder projected, and then it went all the way up to a 3rd round projected, and who knows what it's going to be now because it's based off the contract they get, right?
I thought it was no. I thought it was what he did after he left the Niners. So whatever he got from the Vikings at the start of the season.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was.
I swear it was like
2 years later.
On...
No, that has nothing to do with the Niners.
Well, why did I keep seeing reporters talk about how the
Niners
comp pick could fluctuate depending on Sam Darnold?
It's the way that it is like you get comp picks for like free agents in versus free agents out.
Right. So Sam Darnold left, right? And whatever his contract was
comp
with
pick
the
you
Vikings,
receive is determined by the size of the contract your free agent signs with another team and the performance he has in his first season with that new team.
And the performance.
Yeah. So performance. So that's
performance-wise, they've already.
We should get a
it's
4th
projected
or 3rd
to be a 4th.
Okay,
yeah,
I mean that's fine.
That's really good actually. But the beginning of the year was projected to be a 7th. So
yeah.
I mean, nobody could have anticipated J.J. McCarthy tearing his meniscus or needing to get it repaired, not tearing it.
Right.
And then Sam Darnold coming in and having the season he had. Kudos to him, but everybody knew they were a paper tiger that was going to fall inward on itself.
I mean, shit, not everybody listening to the usual suspects on 49ers Twitter.
Good point.
Who saw a guy he's got so many physical tools. This is why arm talent is one of the most overrated things, because if you don't have it up here, you could have the strongest arm in the world that's not going to matter.
I mean, I think
I like that
CJ Beathard could throw it down the field, right? Like 80 yards.
Sure.
The arm talent don't fucking matter, right? He wasn't a head quarterback no matter where you put him.
That's
Sorry.
a pretty
I
good
interrupt,
comp,
yeah.
actually. I like that. No, you're good. I like that comp a lot, actually. Sam Darnold, C.J. Beathard,
Yep.
right? Physical talent, but just not there mentally. I like that a lot. On the AFC side of the ball, you know, we were talking about the 5-4 matchup between the Vikings and the Rams. On the flip side, and those were the two teams in closest margins from where they ranked. You had on the opposite side Chargers and the Houston Texans.
Ooh.
This was one of my favorite games of the entire first week wild card round of the
close,
playoffs,
close, and then it just wasn't.
and then it wasn't at all, right? Like shout out, man. Oh my God, can I do an applause?
Yes.
Can I get
Do
it?
it.
Let's go, man. Yes, yeah. I like that. All right. Enough applause. Kill that shit. All right, I like that, man. Like D'Amico Ryans, C.J. Stroud going out there, and fuck you, Harbaugh. I'm still on that fuck Harbaugh tip. Sorry, I'm a Niners fan. It's never going away. Fuck you, Harbaugh. That's how I feel. So I love seeing D'Amico go out there and do one good for my man Jed York. I love it. I absolutely loved it. And that's all I got for it, man. The run game was good. The defense was good. And everyone was like, oh, my God. The first, 10 minutes of this game, you should have seen the tweets that I was getting about, oh, I bet you don't feel that way about Harbaugh now. I bet you want to take back some of your Justin Herbert takes, right? Like the first 10 minutes of this game, people were want to give me shit. They didn't say anything for the entire last 50 minutes of this game.
That's how it is.
Man,
That's how it is.
My man.
And listen, this is what happens when you come in and, I'm going to give Harbaugh a little bit, right? He's got to get some more picks in there. But when you essentially have Ladd McConkey as like your only target that's worth a shit, because you got Brick Hands Johnston over there dropping everything that comes his way. You don't have a lot on the offensive side. You got Greg Roman, whose offense was figured out in 2013. And, this is Harbaugh. This is Harbaugh in the NFL. And you can get away with some of that shit in college because, again, when you're a good talent evaluator, good talent recruiter, you can overwhelm people with what you got. And actually, I think that because he had to go outside of his comfort zone when he was losing to Ohio State and had to go with somebody like a Sharon Moore, that it forced him to get a little more inventive with the offense, the way that they call it. But Greg Roman, that shit is tired as fuck, dude. It's tired as fuck. And, it makes... I don't think Justin Herbert was as bad as the stat line, but also, it does go to show that maybe Justin Herbert's not as great as everybody thinks he is.
And that was my point in all this. What I was going to bring up is, at what point do we stop talking about potential and start talking about what has actually occurred? Because I love Justin Herbert. Don't get me wrong. Clearly, he's got all the potential in the world. He's been in the NFL. Is this his 5th season? 6th season? He came in with Tua, right? So
yeah, I think it's 6.
And he has 0 playoff wins.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go back to wins are not a QB stat.
They're not, sure, but
it's a lot about how you play, and his touchdown to interception ratio is 4-1. So
in the playoffs?
No, just overall.
Sure, but when it matters most,
he meant playoffs.
But this is where I come back to on the Sam Darnold thing. I don't think that Herbert played as bad a game as Sam Darnold played. And the reason why is that Herbert's playing with Ladd McConkey and a bunch of shit.
That's the dice you rolled.
But he was playing with that all year. It's not like he just suddenly lost.
But during the regular season, you're playing fucking shit teams, and you're playing teams that might not have their best. Whatever. Everybody in the playoffs is coming. Playoff time is different. We all know that.
Definitely.
But your weaknesses will get exposed, and I'm saying that some of the weaknesses that the Chargers have led to a lot of difficulty for Justin Herbert. Because when it came to throwing Ladd McConkey, who's good, McConkey had 9 catches for 200 yards and a touchdown or whatever the fuck it was. Ladd McConkey clearly had no problem, and Justin Herbert clearly had no problem getting Ladd McConkey the ball. It was everybody else dropping shit, things going through their hands, run game not being able to hold up, a lot of this other stuff. And I'm not trying to give Justin Herbert a complete pass, but what I'm saying is when you look at his overall career, this is a guy that's consistently been, He's got 137 touchdowns to 45 picks in his career. Like that's not shit. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Oh, I never said he was shit. It's just that
No,
at some
but-
point when you don't produce in the playoffs, or your team doesn't produce, you don't lead. I mean, you could say the same thing about CJ Stroud on the other side. The second year, he lost his top 2 receivers. The Texans
Sure.
aren't necessarily an offensive dominated team. He was
Right.
able to find ways to get the job done.
Or
and
the defense was able to find ways to create opportunities, right?
or that too, sure. Or that too.
Yeah.
But Justin Herbert, I would have liked to have seen him. I don't know. At some point, it's like, okay, like when is this going to translate into? Because nobody cares about what you do from September through the beginning of January. It's about, okay, you know, if Peyton Manning never won a single playoff game, are we still talking
Sure.
about Peyton Manning?
I mean,
the same way we're talking about him?
it's a second playoff game, so.
In
you know.
7 years, 6 years.
But again, is that
6 years,
that
yeah.
a Justin Herbert issue or is that a team issue?
It don't matter.
both.
It's a Justin Herbert issue no matter what.
It was. I
It's
mean,
like-
Joe Burrow. You could say the same thing. He went to a shitty Cincinnati team, and within 2
Mhm.
years, he's taken in the playoffs almost every year. I mean, I think this is like the first year they didn't make the playoffs since his rookie year.
It's Lamar Jackson all over again, right? Like one guy is talented with his legs, the other guy is talented with his arms. You all of a sudden you give Lamar Jackson some talent on the ground and some receivers that maybe could catch the ball, right? Like
Right.
this is kind of what Matt's point is, right? Where
Yeah.
Herbert didn't have anybody who could catch the ball. All of a sudden, Lamar Jackson puts up these phenomenal quarterback numbers for the first time in his career, right? And it's like,
Yes.
holy shit, maybe he did need a running game. Maybe he did
Right.
need some people who could actually catch the ball, and he's not as bad as what we all thought he was.
Right.
for all
So
these
Lamar
years.
Jackson last year won the MVP off the back of a 24 touchdown passing season. And this year, when he gets Derrick Henry, who rushes for almost 2,000 yards, Lamar Jackson has 41 touchdown passes.
Like, boom.
That
Hello.
shit makes a difference. And you got J.K. Dobbins back there, who's like fine, but not really like a game changer. And your best receiver on your team is a rookie.
Right.
Like that's not weapon. Can you name who the
Yeah.
Chargers tight end is?
Will Disley, great tight end.
There you go. Former
mean,
Seahawks.
kidding.
Come
I'm
on,
kidding.
talk your shit.
Look,
Talk your shit.
All I'm saying is, at some point,
Yo,
this talent. I mean, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady dragged like a bunch of who's on offense to
Yes.
continuously deep playoff runs.
But
And I'm not
Herbert's
saying
not
Justin
that.
Herbert is that. Don't get me wrong. I know.
Tom-
I clearly know it's a big
I
difference.
mean,
But
Yeah.
people talk about Herbert as he's like the second or third best quarterback in the
Coming.
league.
Yeah.
And at some point,
he's made the playoffs 2 times out of his 5 years. Sure.
6.
6.
He's also
Five.
been
Five.
Zach's
He
main
came in the league in
quarterback
20,
was his first
2020, 21,
for the last
22,
like
23,
2
24.
fantasy leagues.
I know math is hard, guys, but it's 5 seasons.
2020.
He was
came
drafted
in.
in 2019. What? No.
2020.
No. That's not accurate.
2020.
All right, even though 2020 is like 5 years ago, we all think about it as like 2 to 3.
Oh,
so,
okay.
like to be fair, it's like 2 years ago.
Oh,
so.
yeah, and Daddy Messi, Super Bowl team achievements, Tomlin built. Oh, this is an argument about Tomlin. I'm not saying Justin Herbert needs to win a Super Bowl to be a good quarterback. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is, at
Show up
what
when it
point
counts.
do we need this to translate?
Yeah.
At what
Show up
point
when it
do we
counts.
stop
That's
talking
it.
about potential and start talking about, okay, but can you do
But
it?
what are we talking about? But hold on.
Maybe not throwing like
he
2
performs-
multiple
he-
interceptions in the playoff
Well,
games.
he didn't in his first playoff game and they lost. They blew a huge lead.
That was clearly on the defense. I mean,
Right. Okay. So then, what are we talking about? Justin Herbert not being able to do it when one game he did enough to win, but the defense didn't do it, and then this time he didn't do enough to win.
Well, because Justin
One
Herbert's
game.
job is not the defense. If
3
you take care of your job on the offense, you don't have to worry about the fucking.
But this is the same argument that people who hate
Talk
on
it,
Kyle
Eric.
say. This is the same argument that people make on Kyle. Say like Kyle lost that Super Bowl. No, he did with the Falcons. No, he didn't. Dan Quinn's defense lost that fucking Super Bowl. Kyle gave you a 25-point lead with like 14 minutes, 15 minutes to go in like the game or whatever. It was like
I mean,
2 minutes left to go in the third or whatever.
yeah.
oranges to apples, but yeah.
I think.
I mean,
Justin Herbert-
no, it's literally apples to apples when Justin Herbert goes out there, gives you a lead, and the defense pisses it away. That's the
say you
same
don't
thing.
like Justin
Alex Smith, huh?
Just say you don't like.
No, I'm not. What do you mean?
No,
I'm defending
it's the
Justin
opposite.
Herbert.
He's defending him. Yeah, he really
Yeah.
likes him. And
I'm
I
saying
think,
that in 2 playoff games, he's had a performance that was good enough to win them the game, and then he had a performance that was bad. So, like, let's see. Let's see what we can get out of Herbert in the second Harbaugh draft.
But
If you draft more playmakers or sign more playmakers, give it an extra year, and then if he continues down this road, but I need to see more than yeah. But dude, Quentin Johnston sucks, dude.
And while
What do you mean? Maybe he drops fucking everything, dude. He had a pretty good year. I mean, the drops kind of went away up until Saturday, whenever the fuck this playoff game was. People were talking about him having like a resurgent, like, oh, this is the player we were actually hoping to get as Chargers fans. The drops were kind of like not a thing this year up until Saturday. I'm not saying it was great. Don't get me wrong, but it was better. It was much improved.
Yeah, I just want to point out that the criticisms for Justin Herbert don't just come on the backs of playoff games, because other than this past weekend, there was only one, right? But it's the games heading into it where win and you're in, and he couldn't get it done with the offense. Like, it's not just the defense giving away leads at the end of the second half, right? Like, and that did happen. That is part of the jacket for Justin Herbert. But there were 3 seasons where, hey, win this last game and you guys are in, and they just didn't show up. And so that's also part of the, like, hey, win meaningful games so we can look at you later on where all eyes will be on you, and you just couldn't do it. It was a gimme. And so it's not just the playoff things with Justin Herbert. That's all the talent in the world, physically gifted and all that stuff, but clearly, you got to put it together.
And I think he can. I just want to see it. That's my whole point. It's like I want to see him do it because I know he can. It just hasn't materialized into that yet. For whatever reason. Not enough help on offense, poor coaching, shitty defense. It hasn't been able to all be put together, but it's like the fucking biggest piece of the puzzle is a franchise quarterback, and they've had that for like a solid 4 years now. It's been obvious Justin Herbert has all of the tools, but it doesn't translate for some reason.
And it's not like Sam Darnold either. Like with Sam Darnold, we're like, what's missing between the ears? Like, you don't even have that question when you watch Herbert play. It's not that. It's like, what's not working with you right now in this game? And we just can't put our finger on it. And that's why it's this big conundrum with him where everyone's like, this guy is clearly a top 3 talent. And there's other people saying, no, Brock Purdy's better than him. It's like, what the fuck? How is there such a big discrepancy, right? And that's where it is.
I mean,
it's like we can't narrow it down.
If I had a choice between Brock Purdy and Justin Herbert, like just straight up,
you're taking Justin Herbert. Don't lie to me.
Herbert, 10 out of 10 times. 10 out of 10 times.
But Matt, you have to know that 60% of Niner fans are going to disagree with you.
Of course.
And that's the wild part. That's the wild part. So where does the discrepancy come in from? Like, how does something that, like, to you and I agree with Matt. Let me be clear. I'm on Matt's page. If you give me 1 for 1 and put them on this team, I'm taking Justin Herbert 10 out of 10 times. I promise you that most Niner fans don't feel that way. I promise you they don't feel that way. Why? I don't know. But they don't.
Yep.
It's the same people that think quarterback wins are a stat. Go ahead.
What do you mean why? Most people know why. I mean, they have tunnel vision. They're in their quarterback, and that's about the limit of the knowledge that they have. That's
yeah, that is why people are more in tune, and we're guilty of it too. We're more in tune with the 49ers than any other team in the league. So the highs are higher and the lows are lower, right? Like we think everybody sucks who sucks, and we think everybody who's great is great. But in a vacuum, I think that Herbert is. Is there nothing to be said that Purdy fits Shanahan better than Herbert? We don't know. Who's Herbert had that was a good offensive coach for him?
Pause.
Everybody in the chat watching right now, and to Matt, I'm sorry, and to Zach and Eric, I want you guys to answer.
Yeah.
Herbert on this team or Purdy on this team? Just give me an answer, right? I'm not saying anything in response.
Herbert.
I'm going to say based off of their talent and what they've been doing so far, Herbert.
It's not a question. It's just a question of, okay, but like, do you have that dog in you? Like,
wait.
I felt disrespectful saying it.
I mean, we've watched Herbert play games where he's been like battered around and he still comes out and competes. But I want to bring up this comment because this is great. Herbert is better than Purdy. End of story. Doesn't mean Purdy can't be more successful.
Yes.
That's the whole point that I'm saying is just because the team around Herbert isn't successful doesn't mean that Herbert isn't talented.
Yeah. It's like Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees. There's an argument to be made. Drew Brees is way better than, Phillip Rivers is better than Drew Brees as a quarterback.
I mean,
Phillip Rivers never won it.
I mean, no, but
Okay,
no.
I'm just saying, similar situation.
I would do Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger. I think that's a more fair comparison.
They're a lot closer in talent, in my opinion. So yeah, sure. But one never won a Super Bowl. One did. Ben Roethlisberger's more accomplished, but Phillip Rivers is clearly more talented. Let's talk about this Eagles-Packers game, and then we'll wrap up because it's getting late.
Oh yeah.
I gotta eat some dinner.
I remember
a lot.
when everybody
Sorry,
told me.
Well,
Sorry,
okay,
go
so
ahead,
are we?
Mike.
So Eagles Packers.
Yes.
Was a game that I was more disappointed. I picked the Eagles to win, but I was more disappointed in the effort from the Packers in this game. I won't make this a long drawn out thing. But while I was more disappointed in the Packers and what they brought to the table, Jordan Love is exactly who I tried telling everybody he was.
Me
That's
too.
all I got.
I will add, I think Jordan Love is, with all due respect, a fucking idiot with a great arm. Like, the dude plays football like he doesn't understand situations. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And that was clearly evident in the divisional round against the 49ers last year, throwing that pass across his body with a minute and a half left and 2 timeouts. You only need 3 points to tie it. You're already close to midfield. Why the fuck are you throwing that pass? I felt like we were watching the 49ers out there Sunday because of how many dudes got hurt. Like, it was like dude after dude after dude after dude. And, the Eagles lost a couple guys too, but the Packers, damn, man, they were getting hurt, like dropping like flies. And they're already without Christian Watson. Jaden Reed got hurt. Jontavian Wicks got hurt. Their starting tackle got hurt. Their backup tackle, like, it was crazy. But with all of that being said, none of these teams really impressed me. Like, none of them stood out. I thought Jalen Hurts looked really, really bad. And you could say it's his first game back from a concussion. Sure. But it's kind of like fit in with all of the season performance. I think the Eagles are like prime for an upset. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah. Listen, again, another quarterback, that everybody said, oh, this guy's better than Brock Purdy. I'd rather have him than Brock Purdy.
Yep.
Some of the usual cronies, saying that. And he's, in the last 2 seasons, has thrown 5 of the worst playoff interceptions I've ever fucking seen in my life.
Yeah.
So, like, again, and this is a guy who sat for 2 or 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers before he even got a start. So he's like a 5-year pro. You know what I mean?
There was that point, Matt, like second quarter, 4 of his last 24 playoff passes were interceptions.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which is horrendous. By the way, Zach, I hate to go backwards one more time. I just want to say this, because Terradome's bringing it up too. Playoff wins. Here's my one response, because if I have to hold the loss on you're going to have to hold the loss on Herbert if I'm going to have to hold the loss on Lamar Jackson, because nobody's arguing that Lamar Jackson isn't one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, right? Like, right? Lamar Jackson's 3-4 in the playoffs.
But that's the narrative on him too, that he fucking shrinks.
Sure. But nobody thinks that he's not. Nobody thinks, oh, he has all this potential, but he's not putting it together. That's he's got 2 MVPs. Like, nobody.
I think if you think
that.
Lamar Jackson's your quarterback, you're making it to the playoffs no matter what.
Right. Every single year, right?
Yep.
And then what happens? This is my argument with Herbert. What if instead of J.K. Dobbins, what if Justin Herbert had Derrick Henry? You don't think that would have made a difference in the way that?
But that is the argument with Lamar Jackson. The argument is that he doesn't show up in the big games, and they mean playoffs.
But the argument has also been, what are his weapons? Mark Andrews and who else?
Right.
So now they have Zay
point
Flowers. Now they have
him,
Derrick Henry.
yeah.
And so this is my argument for Herbert, just not wanting to
Sean
say too
Bateman,
much on
put
that.
some respect on Bateman.
But in terms of, this is where I talk about arm talent with Love, with quarterbacks being overrated. Like, Love clearly doesn't have it between the ears in terms of decision making. Like, imagine if you could put Jordan Love's arm talent into Brock Purdy's body. Like, Brock Purdy would be a top 3 quarterback. Yeah, right.
I was having a conversation this week. Sorry, Eric, did you want to get in on this? Eagles?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was having a conversation this weekend. So there was a birthday party for a buddy of mine. Well, his daughter, not his, because we were at Chuck E. Cheese. His party would not be at Chuck E. Cheese. But obviously, I'm in the Philadelphia area, so there's a bunch of Eagle fans. We were having this conversation, and I said, what do you guys think about Jordan Love? They are not sold on Jordan Love here in Philly. I want you guys to be clear about that.
Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love?
I mean Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts.
that was weird.
We're talking about Jordan Love and how he's thrown 5 of the worst playoff interceptions I've ever seen in my life.
Because they thought that they were going to win this game because of what they identified in Jordan Love. They were like, Jordan Love is more of a fraud than Jalen Hurts. With Jalen Hurts, we have identified his weaknesses. He cannot throw from under center, right? And we have to give him half-field reads. And while we hate that, Jordan Love, people still think that he can do everything. He just needs more opportunity. And that's not the case. So with all the hate that they were throwing at Hurts, and they had this horrible game from Hurts that they expected, they still were confident they were going to win because Jordan Love was going to keep them in this game. And that's what the sentiment was here in Philadelphia from like the football sleuths, and it played out just that way. It was incredible to watch it play out that way.
Jordan Love is so bad that Jalen Hurts got away with a 13 for 21, 131 yard performance.
Yes,
he had 39 yards at halftime. Yeah, it was crazy.
Love was
it was like within
33.
the last 2 minutes, and I think both quarterbacks combined had like 58 yards passing yards. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Insane.
It was an awful game.
Love was 20 for 33, 212 yards, and 3 interceptions. And like Matt said, Hurts finished the game 13 for 21, 131 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It was a very piss-poor offensive game. Barkley looked good. He could have busted one out to the house to end it, but he took a knee for whatever reason. You're already up like 2 scores. I don't get what's against.
I respect, Saquon Barkley reminds me a lot of the way that Barry Sanders played the game, right? Like Barry Sanders never danced in the end zone. He just tossed the ball to the referee and went to the sideline. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of like the makeup. He's just like, I don't need to rub this in. Like, let's just get off the field and go.
I think Barry Sanders getting into the end zone was rubbing it in enough. Because he
I mean,
on the backs of everybody else laid out on the floor. But
the worst thing that could have happened, let's say Saquon Barkley
saying.
scores, there's still like a minute and a half left, and let's say the Packers actually try to do something, and then one of your defenders gets hurt, and they'd already lost Nakobe Dean up to that point. True. So they already lost one of their key defensive guys. So in my mind, it shows a lot of awareness to be like, hey, once I get past this point, I can slide. Then all we have to do is victory formation and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Here's my hot take before Mike goes. I think this is AJ Brown's last season in Philly, regardless of how the year shapes out. I think
they have been arguing for the last 2 seasons straight.
Take, like AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts do not like each other.
He's fucking like the chat says, reading books on the sidelines. And I saw even Eagles.
Matt Barrow's book, by the way.
It wasn't actually his book, but yeah.
Oh, what? It wasn't?
He photoshopped it.
Was a book that
Christ. All right, okay.
But
I got.
Yeah.
That's funny as fuck, though.
I saw Eagles fans talking about like, well, maybe that was the game plan, and maybe the whole offense is in on it. Jalen Hurts isn't really going to pass that much. It looked like if the offense was in on it, AJ Brown missed that meeting because dude was visibly pissed, and he is always visibly pissed unless he has like 6 to 7 catches, 10 targets. Like he needs to be
1 catch for 10 yards for AJ Brown in this game.
Yeah. Mike, go ahead. I cut you off.
No, you're absolutely fine. I was going to try to, push the show forward. I don't think that any of us were. So that's all we have on the Eagles Packers thing. I think we all. Yes,
both quarterbacks
are fraud. So we're not turning the page.
Go to Philly and beat the Eagles this week.
Well, no, not yet. I don't want to turn the page to the divisional round, but I do think that none of us were surprised by the outcome of the Ravens-Steelers game or the Broncos-Bills game, right? So I don't think that we need to hold on to that much.
Chris Collinsworth tried to glaze Bo Nix for the first quarter or whatever when they were up 7-0. Oh my god,
he wanted to so bad. He
wanted to so bad, and then it was like, oh no, okay, no. Josh Allen is that dude. Like Buffalo's just going to take him out. So.
Yeah, welcome back to reality. Shut the hell up, Collinsworth. Yeah,
I didn't even bother watching Ravens Steelers because I knew how that was going to go right away.
When we fast forward to the divisional round, now all of a sudden what you have is
we got to talk about Commanders Bucks. Shout outs to Jaden Daniels getting his first playoff win.
There you go. Yeah, round of applause there. Let's go. Yeah. Right, Ohio State in the building again. Let's go, baby. Yep.
Probably the most competitive game of the weekend.
It was a good game.
It was a fun game to watch, man.
It was one that I actually wanted to watch rather than be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. And I want to also commend and tip my hat to Mike Evans. Right, phenomenal season. He was a man possessed on the field. It is not his fault that they did not win this game. Mike Evans did everything that they expected and wanted him to do. He had exceeded expectations in the first half of this game. That's how good Mike Evans was, and he still had a decent second half, but not enough to go out there and get the win.
Yeah, I think the mishandled snap between Baker and the wide receiver, I think that was a big momentum killer, and I think that was what allowed Washington to really take control of that game.
Right after they just got a 4th and goal stop too.
Yeah,
like
and give it right back. That's a momentum
back.
killer. And then the next drive, I believe Washington scored the go-ahead touchdown.
Yep.
Yeah,
Touchdown. Yep, that was it.
Shout out to Jaden Daniels because he has massively outplayed the expectations that I had for him coming into this year. Not only during the season, but Sunday night during a playoff game when like the lights are the brightest, a play needs to be made. He made it, and that was like the key difference. What, Mike? What?
Was Ayuk right?
Ayuk was right. Ayuk was right.
Come
And I
on,
tweeted that, and I got flamed. I said, regardless, this was before the Steelers got whooped, obviously, but I said, hey, I kind of clowned them in July for wanting to go to either Pittsburgh or Washington, but I see the vision. Like, both of those teams ended up being playoff teams. Now, obviously, Russell Wilson melted down, and it was really sad to see, and they lost 5 straight to end the year. But up until that point, like, they're both very, very good teams. Look at Washington. Look at Jaden Daniels. Imagine Washington with Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lethal team right there.
By the way, I just want to say that
McLaurin on one side,
Daniels,
Ayuk on the other.
Jaden Daniels was my first-ranked quarterback in my draft rankings this year.
Talk your shit, baby.
So
talk your shit, baby.
Yeah, he did really well.
That kid looks good.
Yeah,
looks good.
Drake May, I think, was second on mine, and then I had like Caleb Williams and Bo Nix. I still think there's a chance for Caleb Williams. I think he tries to do hero ball too much, but Bo Nix actually, like, shout outs to him, dude. Like, he played far better than I think
he had a really, really good year.
Yeah,
I'm not going to take anything away from Bo Nix.
When Denver took him at 10 or 12 or whatever that was, everybody was like, dude, you way overdrafted that kid. And he actually played well. And I know that there were a lot of questions. I think it was like game 2 or game 3 of Bo Nix where he like yelled at Sean Payton, and we're like, oh, dude, this thing's never going to work. And then all of a sudden, like that, honestly, that touchdown pass that he threw was a dot.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So, give him an extra year. Jaden Daniels, let's see what he can do in the divisional round. I mean, I think it kind of ends for Jaden Daniels. They have to go to Detroit, dude. I think they're gonna get skunked, but you never know.
Any more thoughts on the Washington Bucks before we get to the divisional round? Because I can't wait to get to the preview. I think we're gonna have some fun here.
Let's do it.
Eric.
Oh,
Eric's gone.
He came back.
I think I gotta go.
There he is.
Okay. Yeah, it might be my internet. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh no,
my dog's looking at the door, so I think I gotta go.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Man, I appreciate y'all for having me on here. I
give us your winners for the divisional round.
Real quick. Winners.
You want me to read the games out?
So
yeah, sure.
So we got Chiefs Texans.
Let's go in a row.
Chiefs Texans.
I don't know. I think it might be the Texans.
No, you don't. You don't actually think that.
Okay.
All right. Bills Ravens.
Might come up and upset them.
Bills Ravens.
Bulls, right? It's gonna be Ravens.
Oh, okay. Lions Commanders.
Lions.
Eagles Rams.
Eagles. I hate them.
Okay.
Wow.
Cool. All right. Thanks, bro.
All right, brother.
I'll talk to you soon.
Take care of that Frenchie.
Y'all take care.
All right,
man. My man Eric, go out there, walk that dog, baby. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Take it away.
Yeah. Real quick, last thought on the Bucks Commanders, and then we'll jump to the divisional round. I think the Bucks can do some things with Baker Mayfield. Just the growth he's shown since leaving Cleveland is crazy to me. So
I think that he is a really good example of what a bad organization can do to someone's reputation, how people view them, and all that stuff. And he did it the most under the radar way ever. Let me go and be a backup, and then wait for Brady to leave, and no one expects me to do shit. Let me just compete. And
here's the problem. What he did was very similar to what Sam Darnold did, and I think that's why everybody was ready to fillet Sam Darnold the way that they were, because they literally, it's like Jets, Browns, quarterback graveyards, right? Because I think, you know, despite what our objections were to the Deshaun Watson situation, that Cleveland, whatever, I think the last thing that everybody thought that was he was going to be a complete dog shit quarterback.
Yeah.
So I mean, they just or even like Aaron Rodgers wins less games for the Jets than Zach Wilson does, which is why I think Zach Wilson should be a dark horse to back up Brock Purdy. So I think that there's a way to maybe rehab him.
I wouldn't be mad at that, but this is
but anyway, so they both go to Carolina. They're there together in Carolina, and then Darnold goes to the 49ers. Baker goes to the Rams for like half a season, and then goes to the Bucs. So, yeah. But I think so. Whereas Sam Darnold was like icy ghost, I don't think Baker's competitiveness was ever once in question. No. And
no, that guy fight. He's a fighter.
Yeah. And I think Todd Bowles appreciates the shit out of that.
The three of us sat here when Purdy's rookie year, after Trey and Jimmy had both gotten hurt. The three of us sat here and asked the 49ers to sign or claim him off waivers. Baker Mayfield. That is.
Yep.
They did not. He ended up going to the Rams.
Could you
and what
imagine?
Happened in the playoffs? Purdy goes and tears his elbow. We have
49ers would have won the Super Bowl that year if Baker Mayfield would have been able to step in for Brock Purdy.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's give our picks. Yeah, picks for the divisional.
You want me to read them out?
No. I got them. Kansas City Chiefs versus Texans. My heart is with the Texans. Kansas City's going to win. They have like the number 2 ranked defense in the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Like, can't bet against them yet.
Yeah. Let's stay there. Let's all do it together.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. All right, Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to also take the Chiefs, mainly because the official that is calling this game, he's called 6 of their games this year. No, it's not Bill Vinovich, but I can't remember his name, but he's called 6 of their games this year. They are 6-0 in all of those games. But like you said, my heart is with the Texans. I will be adamantly cheering against the Chiefs and pulling for Houston.
Yep. Clay Martin.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that guy.
Yeah. I got to go.
6-0 with him.
I'm picking the devil here. Kansas City's going to win this one. They're still doing black magic in Missouri, so give it to Kansas City.
There you go.
Yep. All right. Next one. What do we got, Zach? We're gonna go
Ravens Bills, baby.
Bills.
Come on.
Ravens Bills. Listen, you know, I gotta keep my reputation as a massive Lamar Jackson hater. I'm going Buffalo. Yeah, I'm going Buffalo.
I don't like agreeing with Matt 2 games in a row, but
it's in Buffalo, and I don't know, man. I just got a feeling. I got a feeling that Buffalo's gonna get it. They actually have a real running back. Cook is like, he's nice, man.
Wait, but what the fuck? Henry's nicer.
No, but what I'm saying is that traditionally Buffalo has had wide receivers but not running backs. I think they're very well balanced now on offense, and their defense is actually pretty good. So the weather, I don't know what it's supposed to be like, but you know,
it's going to be like -14 with the wind chill or something like that.
But if it's not super windy, I still think that favors Buffalo.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the difference in this game is going to come down to defense, and so because of that, I want the Bills to win this game, right? And I think the Bills are the better. I think the Bills are the better like story, but as far as offense go, I think they're pretty evenly matched when both teams are clicking on all cylinders. But the Ravens easily have the better defense. Between injuries and all that stuff, the Ravens have the better defense. And so, you know, on a road game, what do you want in cold weather? You want a run game and a defense. I kind of got to go with the Ravens. But you guys, I got the Bills winning the Super Bowl this year, just so you all know. But if I had to put money on it, that's what
they're losing this game.
Yeah. So, like, if I had to put money on it, that's how I'm doing it. So, yeah.
So the weather, it's supposed to be 21 degrees and snow showers.
That's funny.
With like a wind chill. Yeah.
ESPN says 19 degrees and cloudy. Feels like 12 degrees. So
I'm looking at Google weather.
Okay. This was the link on the ESPN like weather for the game. All right. Give me Baltimore. Or excuse me. Buffalo. Give me Buffalo.
Let's go.
All right.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. Give me Buffalo.
I
Matt,
feel like with all three of us picking Buffalo, that Baltimore's probably going to win.
technically,
I pick Baltimore.
Ravens.
Technically,
you pick
I want
Then I feel
Buffalo, but
Then I feel good. Okay. So now we run over to the NFC side. We'll start with the number 1 seed, Detroit Lions, going against the Washington Commanders, who I believe were the 4th seed. They won the 6th seed. Okay. They were the 6th seed. I think the Lions are just going to boat race them. The Lions feel different this year, the energy that they have. They've withstood some injuries, but it doesn't seem to matter. Like, even against Minnesota in the last week of the season, they dropped like a ton of defensive backs, and it was just like they still couldn't do anything. So they almost feel like, like the Rams did, right? Where we beat the Rams in the NFC Championship game the prior season to go to the Super Bowl or whatever. We lose the Super Bowl. They come back the next season. They play us in the NFC Championship game. They beat us. They go on to win the Super Bowl or whatever it was. And it's just like, that's kind of is the vibe that I'm getting from the Lions. It feels like it's their year this year. With David Montgomery potentially being back for this stretch playoff run. They have Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's a team possessed, man. It's a team possessed. And the fact that they lost their best pass rusher in Hutchinson in week 5 or whatever it was, and they still got the number 1 seed is just crazy. I think the Commanders, shot their wad against the Bucs, and it's going to be a boat race.
Mike?
I think there are 2 teams in this NFC that can beat the Lions, and it's the Commanders and the Rams. It's the Commanders and the Rams. And here's my reasoning. Cliff Kingsbury is a hell of an offensive coordinator, and I think a lot of us forget that because of our bias with NFC West and all that stuff, right? But there's a difference between being a head coach and a coordinator, and we discussed that ad nauseum for the first 30 minutes of this episode. Cliff Kingsbury is back where he's supposed to be at the offensive coordinator position. He's got a talented rookie quarterback. He's got 2, not 1, but 2 good running backs that can do whatever they're asking him to do. And he's got a Terry McLaurin. I think Cliff Kingsbury gets in his bag. This is going to be the highest scoring game of the weekend. With that said, I'm still taking the Lions. This is going to be a last possession wins the game type of game. I would not be surprised at all if Washington won this game, but I'm going to take the Lions.
So, obviously, the Commanders have had this Cinderella story, rookie quarterback, new coach, new GM, go on the road, win week 1. Fortunately, I think it comes to an end. But not this week. Give me Washington. I got Washington upsetting Detroit. This story is not going to an end this week. Maybe next week, but not this week. Give me Washington, Detroit. I feel like they just smell like a one and done. I don't know. Something's coming off of them that I don't really quite buy. Maybe it's their defense. Maybe it's all their injuries. Maybe it's the rookie corners. I don't know. I just don't quite buy it. So, give me Washington in an upset. In a stinker.
I love it.
Too. Something like 21-17.
A stinker. Bro, neither one of these teams can play defense. This is going to be the high. I promise you it's going to be the highest scoring game of it. Yeah. I promise you. It's going to be like 40 to 39. Like, it's going to be some crazy.
37. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy.
All right, Matt, last divisional round matchup this week.
Yeah. So we have Rams, Eagles. This is my upset. I think the Rams expose the Eagles, expose that bitch ass Nick Sirianni, expose that fat fuck Big Dom, fucking Jalen Hurts. I feel bad for Saquon Barkley that he hitched his wagon to a bunch of corny ass losers, but that's the way that it is.
Say something bad about Vic Fangio.
Nah,
troll ass looking.
Yeah. I like that. No, I can't do it. I like that.
Honestly, the Eagles have the top ranked defense in the NFL.
Yeah,
so.
he's done a
there
good
you
job.
go. Vic did his job this year. Absolutely.
I will say that the loss of Nakobe Dean is going to be big. It's going to be big.
Yeah,
because I believe he was either first or second on their team in tackles, right?
Second
Him and the
to
other
Zach
linebacker.
Bond, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which hell of a signing by them.
Yeah.
Mike?
I won't waste any time at all. Give me the Rams also. I'm with Matt on this one. I'm taking the Rams, and I'm not even hesitating. I think the Rams win this by 2 scores.
Well, fuck.
Yep.
I want to take the Rams too, but I don't want all 3 of them.
No, do it. Come on. Put your balls on the table. Let's go, baby.
I'm taking
got
the
a
Rams. I got 2
Let's
upsets. A sweep for this one. Jalen Hurts is going to Jalen all over the field. I am done with these fucking frauds. Give me the Rams. And look, then I'm rooting for Washington next week, I guess, because I can have the Rams go up against Kansas City.
Yeah.
But give me the Rams in an upset. My camera's getting all fucked up. Now,
He said, listen, wait till we get to the championship games because I got a news flash for you. Kansas City's not making the Super Bowl.
All right. That'll be the next one. We'll save that for the next one. Let's do it. Let's do it, guys.
All right,
Mike, I'm sure the folks.
Yeah. Guys, Nothing But Niners, Patreon, NB9ers, or Nothing But Niners. I don't know, but let's have fun. Subscribe here. Nothing But Niners and 49ersHive. That's it. I don't care about that. I had a great time tonight, guys. It's a nice long show. We didn't feel rushed. This was beautiful.
Yes.
I really, really enjoy it, man. It's so much free flowing when the Niners aren't adding stress to what we're watching and experiencing. So
exactly.
Let's continue to have fun. Yep. I like it.
Love
Thank you guys very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
I tweeted a couple weeks ago. I prayed for a stress-free playoff season. And God has a funny sense of humor because he gave me a stress-free playoffs, but
yes, sir.
Not in the way I had imagined. So that's all right. Matt, please do us the honors.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we got some playoff football. Hopefully these games are much more competitive than the wild card round because those were mainly duds. But it's good to talk football and not have the pressure or the weight of expectation upon us. And we get to talk about the 49ers in ways that is new and interesting. So I'm sure we're going to be bringing you our draft crushes and all that stuff. But for now, let's just enjoy the rest of the football season for what it is and hope the Chiefs don't get their three-peat. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here tonight. For Zach, for Mike, for myself, we love having you here. And until next time, go Niners.